The Communist Party of China is committing a genocide against the Uyghur people. Let me say that again. The Communist Party of China is committing a genocide against the Uyghur people. Under General Secretary of the Communist Party Xi, 1 million Uyghurs have been placed in concentration camps simply because of their religion. The Xi regime is reportedly performing forced abortions and forced sterilization of Uyghur women. The Communist Party of China is also harvesting organs from Uyghurs and members of the Falun Gong. And the Communist Party assigns male Han Chinese to regularly sleep in the same beds as the wives of Uyghur men detained in the camps. In addition to these disgusting human rights abuses, the Communist Party of China is stripping away the freedom and autonomy the people of Hong Kong were guaranteed. They are threatening Taiwan, building up their military to compete with us, arresting and detaining foreign journalists, and punishing anyone who disagrees with them. And General Secretary Xi has established a surveillance system in Beijing that tracks every movement you make online and in person. The actions of Xi and the Chinese Communist Party fly in the face of the fundamental values that unite freedom-loving countries around the world, values that the Olympic Games are meant to foster and promote. Yet in just 2 years, Communist China is slated to host the 2022 Olympic Games. The International Olympic Committee charter states that its goal is, quote, sport at the service of the harmonious development of humankind with a view to promoting a peaceful society concerned with the preservation of human dignity. And the host city contract the IOC adopted in 2017 requires that hosts protect and respect human rights. Unfortunately, but not by accident, the contract does not take effect until after the 2022 Beijing Games. Think about that. 56 years ago, the International Olympic Committee took a historic step and stood up to the government of South Africa and its racist apartheid system and banned the country from participation in the 1964 Tokyo Olympic Games. South Africa was also excluded from the 1968 Mexico City Games, and in 1970, the IOC indefinitely expelled South Africa from Olympic competition. Germany and Japan were banned from participating in the 1948 Games for their roles in World War II. Afghanistan was banned in 2000 because of the Taliban's discrimination against women. And South Korea was pressured by the IOC to enact democratic reforms before it hosted the 1988 Games. Should Communist China, which places no value on human life or freedom, be allowed to host the 2022 Games? Absolutely not. Doing so will threaten the safety of athletes and attendees and financially reward the dictatorship responsible for a genocide against its Muslim population. My colleague from Massachusetts, Senator Markey, and I introduced a bipartisan resolution calling on the International Olympic Committee to rebid the 2022 Games to a country that recognizes and respects human rights. This isn't about a boycott. I am absolutely opposed to a boycott. And it's not about politics. This is a fight about human rights, which transcends politics. Moving the Olympic Games out of Communist China doesn't hurt athletes. It keeps them safe from Communist China's aggression. Last year, the world watched while Communist China pressured the NBA to censor themselves over one tweet supporting Hong Kong citizens who are fighting for their freedom. And we saw the NBA cower to Communist China's wishes. They even prohibited athletes that were in China at the time from speaking with reporters. If Communist China has the ability to censor the NBA, an American organization, from speaking about anything that may offend General Secretary Xi, what will they do to athletes from around the world? Will this regime start censoring or restricting participating athletes? What about the press? Will their broadcasts be censored to appease General Secretary Xi? We have to open our eyes to this threat. And we have to stand against the genocide of the Uyghurs and the political oppression of Hong Kongers. We also have to consider the safety of athletes and spectators from all over the world. For the hundreds of millions who will watch the Games, we must again lead by example and refuse to give Communist China a platform to whitewash its crimes. I stand with the freedom-loving people of Hong Kong, the historically persecuted people of Tibet, peaceful community of Chinese Muslims, including Uyghurs, Falun Gong, and their journalists and political dissidents in China. I hope that all of my colleagues will join me in demanding that the IOC rebid the 2022 Olympic Games should China fail to abandon its indefensible course. As if in legislative session, I ask unanimous consent that the Foreign Relations Committee be discharged from further consideration and the Senate now proceed to Senate Resolution 526. I further ask that the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, and that the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there objection? The senator